up everybody, this is Mike, and in today's video we are going to talk about night hyperlapses and how you can achieve some great results with your brand new DJI Mavic 2 Pro. Before I get into more details for today's video, I want to give a massive shout out to my bro John from Drone Mood. He has been a great help when putting together this video. He actually sent a couple of his hyperlapses from Geneva, I believe, and he generally has been a great help when it comes to discussing hyperlapses and talking about different features, different settings and tips. So we have been discussing hyperlapses for the past couple of days, and generally he's a great guy to talk about drones, and just we share the same passion, so he's a great guy. So you definitely need to go to his YouTube channel and subscribe. You will definitely not be disappointed. There are a couple of steps that you need to take if you want to make a great hyperlapse, and unfortunately it's not as easy as just going into the hyperlapse mode and pressing go and then just using that video that you have on your SD card. It's definitely not that easy. However, if you're willing to put in a bit of work, you can create some masterpiece looking hyperlapses that will be a huge difference from the clip that you have on your SD card. One of the most important things that you need to do if you want to create great looking hyperlapses is to enable the saving of the photos in RAW format. That basically means that every single photo that the drone is taking during the hyperlapse will be saved as a RAW photo in a different folder on your SD card, so you'll have access to all the photos that you have taken during the hyperlapse. Why you need all of these photos is one of the next steps, which we'll get to in a second, but first you definitely need to shoot in manual mode. Manual mode is crucial when taking photos during the night, because that allows you to keep a certain shutter speed and ISO and not rely on the automatic settings that the drone thinks are the best in that light condition. So having manual settings enabled would be crucial for a successful hyperlapse. Personally, I don't go over ISO of 800 because there is a lot of noise and graining in the photos, so try to keep it below 800. When it comes to aperture, there is no set rule, but I always try to keep it as open as possible. So between f2.8 and f5.6 is ideal, but generally f2.8 is what I'm aiming for. And for shutter speed, I've been experimenting with different values, and I found out that 1/4 of a second is ideal for night hyperlapses. Feel free to experiment with those values, but those are generally the values that I'm trying to use every single time. Next is picking the right hyperlapse mode. In most cases, I found out that I like using circle, waypoints, and course lock in that order. So circle is definitely one of my favorite types of hyperlapse modes. Of course, waypoints is also great, but until we have the option to save our waypoints, I am not using it that much. Once we get that option, it will be amazing to save our waypoints and return to that same location and using the same waypoints in different conditions. One thing I have found out during my shooting is that you definitely need to allow yourself to have a bit more space, so go further away from the object that you're trying to capture with your hyperlapse. That will be very beneficial for you when you start editing your hyperlapse, because you can always crop in into the frame, but you cannot go backwards, you cannot crop out from it. So keep that in mind, stay a bit further away from the point that you're trying to capture. And now we're getting to the point that I mentioned earlier about taking all of these raw photos. Definitely you don't need to use that automated video that is saved on your SD card when you make a hyperlapse, and there are many reasons why. The first reason, and one of the biggest disadvantages of using those types of videos, is because the drone basically compiles that video for you by using some automated settings, and it crops it a lot, and you end up with a video which is quite cropped in. You're losing some details from your frame, you're losing details in the colors, the shadows, the highlights. Everything is just automated by the drone, and this doesn't give you the option to color grade, this doesn't give you the option to preserve some of the highlights and the shadows, and you end up with a footage that is just not looking that special. So I have a solution for this problem, but you need to edit a bit in order to get to this result. Anyway, let's see what kind of difference we're talking about. Here is the automated video that the drone actually made for me. It was stored on the SD card. And here is the video that I was able to produce with my raw photos and my editing software. The difference is quite significant in my opinion. It gives you so much flexibility to edit the way you want. And here is how you can achieve this result. So once you enable the option to save all of your hyperlapse photos, you will end up with a folder like this one. It's full of photos. It's actually 125 different photos, but don't be scared as you only need to edit one of them and that will do the job just fine. So import your photos into Lightroom. I have already done it and I have all of these photos here. And I need to click on the first one and go to develop and just edit the photo the way I want it to look. So to make things quicker, I have already made a night edit preset. It's very quick and it's not exactly what I was using for the hyperlapse that I showed in the beginning of the video, but you get the point. Now that you have edited your photo the way you want it to look, go back to the library, go to the photo, right click on it and go to develop settings and go and press on copy settings and then press copy. Then select all the photos that you have in your library, deselect the first one and go right click on one of the photos, develop settings, paste settings, and that basically pastes all of your edits that you have made on your first photo to the rest of the photos. Now you're ready to go. You can export, so select all of them by clicking on Command A or Control A to select all of them and go and press File, Export and just export to a folder of your choice. So now that we have exported all of our photos, we can see we have them here in our folder that we have selected. And I basically have around 200 photos in this hyperlapse folder because I made it 8 seconds long. So now what we need to do is open our editing software. I have Final Cut Pro here open and I'm going to make a new event called Test Hyperlapse in 1080p 24 frames per second. That's what I use normally. Press OK and we have a new project here which we can open. Now we can select all of these photos that we have exported from Lightroom and we can import them to Final Cut Pro 10. Excuse the mess that I'm making here on my computer. It takes a bit of time because we have 200 photos, but yeah. Now when we import them, we can see that basically we have all the photos here, but every photo is 4 seconds long, which is definitely not what we need. So we need to select all of them and go to modify, change duration and just press 1 and then hit enter. That basically means that every photo that you have selected will be just 1 frame long, which is exactly what we need. So now if I maximize my timeline, we'll see that we have all of these photos one by one. So we basically have a hyperlapse already. What you need to do now is just select all of the photos again, and to remove those black bars, we need to maximize the photo to fit the real estate of the video. So from here, just select fill instead of fit. And now we have the whole photo zoomed in and takes the whole frame. Now what we have though is a bit of shaky video. It was quite windy that night. So what we need to do is stabilize the video. Unfortunately, we don't have a video yet because all we have here are photos and we cannot apply stabilization to photos. So we need to select all of them and go and select export and just export those photos as a video and just export that video. So once we have the video exported, we can now select all of these photos. We don't need them anymore and we just delete them and go to our folder, and just that video that we have just made, we can drag it onto the timeline. And now we have the option to stabilize it. From here on, you can do everything you want to do with the video. You can crop in, you can cut it, you can fast forward, you can speed ramp, you can add effects, you can color grade it even more if you want. but generally that's what you end up with. Once again, here is how the footage looked like straight from the SD card of the drone, and here is my footage. I definitely think there is a lot of difference in a positive way, and I think it's worth investing some time into this process to make your hyperlapse just so much better looking. And there you guys have it. Those have been my tips for achieving great looking night hyperlapses. Please let me know in the comments below if you have enjoyed the video or if you have any questions. Once again, huge thanks to John from Drone Mood for collaborating with me and just exchanging his ideas and tips, and for just discussing hyperlapses with me. It has been a great pleasure. Don't forget to subscribe to his channel. It will be linked in the description. And with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I'll catch you in my next one. Ciao.